So the first step is always to isolate the radical. Isolate the radical. Then you're going to raise each side of the inequality to the same power. And this is based on the index. The index is the little number on the top left of the radical. If there is no number written there, what kind of radical is it? If we just have this with no number, what does that mean? Square root. So the number that we don't write here is a 2. We don't write it there, but it's implied to be a 2. So if it is a square root, you square both sides. Wish I could get my pen to write thinner. It's already as small as it'll go. If it is a cube root, oh no, this is where my next person I'm supposed to call on. Natalie. So if it's a cube root, what do I do to both sides? Yes, you do, but your name wasn't Natalie. Okay. So the next one, Natalie. If it's a fourth root, then you raise each side of the inequality to what power? The fourth power. And 10. Jeremy, if it's a fifth root, you raise each side of the inequality to the fifth power. Then solve the remaining equation for the variable, or the remaining inequality for the variable. Now, up to here, this is exactly the same notes as you took last class on solving an equation. But starting with step 4, it's different. If the radical has an even index, 2, 4, 6, 8, etc., then you set up another inequality with only the radicand. And the radicand is what is underneath the radical. Whatever is underneath the radical is called the radicand. So you set up this extra inequality with the radicand set to be greater than or equal to 0. Why must the radicand be greater than or equal to 0? What can you not have under a radical in the real number system? A negative. So we have to ensure that whatever variables we allow in the inequality, they never let the radicand become negative. Then you solve that and put your answers on a number line, because you'll get 2 answers and you have to see where they overlap. And then write your final answers in interval notation is what we're going to put here, but we'll do some of both. Some interval notation and some inequality notation. So we're going to solve problem 3 and 4 for practice. So, first of all, what is the index to this one? I forgot who was next to my random number generator. What's the index? There's no number written, so what is it? 2. So this is even. So we're going to have to deal with the fact that it's even once we've settled the first part. Now, whenever you're solving these to isolate the radical, it's the opposite of PEMDAS. You do the adding and subtracting first, then the multiplying and dividing, and then you deal with parentheses and other things after that. So our first step is to add the 3 to both sides. So that was adding and subtracting. Now we take care of multiplication and division, so we divide by the 2. So the index is 2, so what do we do to both sides? If it's a square root, what do we do to both sides?
Square both sides.
We square both sides. The square root and the radical square root and the squaring, those are inverse operations, so they cancel out. We get 2x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 9. And then we finish solving it. I'm just going to finish it here. Negative 4, 2x greater than or equal to 5. So x is greater than or equal to 5/2. But this is also an even index. So we also have to set the radicand, which is 2x plus 4, greater than or equal to 0. It has to be greater than or equal to 0 because we don't want it to be negative. So we subtract the 4, 2x greater than or equal to negative 4, x greater than or equal to negative 2. So when we put this on the number line, so we have negative 2 and we have 5/2. Why is it not drawing my line? Just put it on that desk over there. It's fine. My stuff is there. Okay, I don't know why I won't draw a line there. So at negative 2, it's greater than or equal to, so we have greater than or equal to is going to be solid. And then at 5/2, which is 2.5, which is here. Now, the way this works is you look for the overlap. So we have x greater than or equal to negative 2. Then we have x greater than or equal to 5/2. So where they overlap, oh, those colors still look too much alike. Try that one. Oh, still look too much alike up there. Okay, where they overlap, that's where your answer is. So they're only going to overlap from x greater than or equal to 5/2 onward. So our final answer is x greater than or equal to 5/2 or 5/2, comma, positive infinity. Oops, it is greater than or equal to, so this needs to be a square bracket. So the number line is the way that you determine where the overlap is. On the practice problems that you do today, if you know how to draw the number line and you're getting the right answer, I don't care if you draw the number line. But draw the number line if you need to be sure that you know where the overlap is. Now, when it's an odd degree, you don't have to do the second part because you can have cube root, fifth root, seventh root of negative numbers, because negative 3 to the third is negative 27. So you can have the cube root of negative 27 is equal to negative 3. So it's okay to have negatives under the radical if the index is odd. The only problem is when it's even. So any questions about this one? Anybody still copying? So it's okay to go to the next one. So now we're going to look at problem 4. It is also even. Degree, the index is 4, so it is also even. Again, the first step is to handle addition and subtraction. So that leaves me with the fourth root of 3x plus 6 is less than or equal to 3. So now what power do we raise it to on both sides? 4, because the index is 4. So we're going to raise both sides to the 4th power. So that leaves me with 3x plus 6 is less than or equal to, what is 3 to the 4th power?
27.
That's 3 to the 3rd power. One more. 81. 3 to the 4th power is 81. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 again is 81. So then we subtract the 6, and we get 3x is less than or equal to 75. Then we divide both sides by 3, and we get x is less than or equal to 25. And now, because it's even, we have to deal with the radicand. So 3x plus 6 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Subtract the 6. 3x is greater than or equal to negative 6. X is greater than or equal to negative 2. So when we put this on the number line, so we've got negative 2 and 25. So we'll put 0 here. That'll be negative 5. So negative 2 will be somewhere in here. And then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So this is 25. So we have less than or equal to 25 and greater than or equal to negative 2. So greater than or equal to negative 2 is going this way. Less than or equal to 25 is going this way. So then our overlap is between negative 2 and 25. Both of these have equal bars, so it is negative 2 to 25. That's your solution. Or in inequality notation, negative 2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 25. Questions? Okay, so you do number 5. So your final answer is negative 3/11 to 2. Right? When you divided by this negative 3, you reverse the symbol. So you end up with r is less than or equal to 2. And then when you do the 11r plus 3, guys, greater than or equal to 0, you get r greater than or equal to negative 3/11. So where those two overlap is this. I want you to work the 3 problems at the bottom of this sheet. Now listen, you're going to work the 3 problems now on the paper. Then today's reflection is if I can put it up there so you can see it.
Oh, that's easy as
Today's reflection is to choose one of those 3 problems that you're going to solve now from the bottom of the note sheet, and you're going to post a picture of it into the Padlet and then explain your steps. So it's column 3 of the Padlet.
Do we get a Chromebook, miss?
I don't have, I can't unlock it.
Don't worry, I got you.
No. So you're going to, after you've done the 3, you're going to solve all 3 of them. Then you're going to pick one of them and post a picture of it and explain it in column 3 of the Padlet. So column 1 and 2 should already be done. Column 3 is today's. And you're just pick the one that you choose of those 3, take a picture of it, put it here, and then you could type your explanation like you see some of these have done, or you could hit the voice record, and just while the picture is there, you could record yourself explaining it. That's my preference because you're hearing and talking and seeing, you're processing it better. I'm not asking you to take a video of yourself. That's my preference, is that you would actually record your voice explaining it as if you were explaining it to another person. But I'm not going to count off on it if you just want to type up your explanation to the problem. So that's the reflection for today. The other sheet that you picked up is the homework. And you have the rest of class today to work on the homework after you do these 3. Now, I don't have the combination for the Chromebook cart, so you'll have to do your Padlet some other time, but you could have the problem solved and you could be deciding on what you want to record, unless you want to use your phones. I mean, you could do Padlet with your phones. So if you want to do that, you can access it with your phones. So that's it for today. Next class is more practice. So none of you will be here next class. You'll just need to stop by and pick up the sheet, or you can access it in the Chromebook in OneNote, or access it with OneNote. So if you go to next class, here. So next class, remember to do your 4th warm-up at some point. And then you're going to use the notes, this page, the notes sheet that you took today. And then there's a more practice, which is here. And then I've also given you a study guide that has the practice. So more practice solving equations and inequalities. That's what we're doing. I've given you this study guide. The first page explains the inequalities again, and both parts, and has examples, and then you're just going to do these exercises and practice that go with it. That's all we're going to do next class, because with half of you here and half of you not here, I can't cover something new. So I provided some extra notes that covers what we did today, and then some extra practice, and then you'll have a reflection at the end of this one that the 4th reflection is going to be comparing the steps for solving radical equations, which we did last class, to the steps for solving radical inequalities, which we did today. And then your homework is to study for the quiz. Finish anything you didn't finish in class, which you won't be in class, and then study for your quiz. Yes?
So we just do one of the bottom 3 and then post down.
I want you to do all 3 of them and then choose one and post. Just post one. Yes.
As